Hey guys, I'm Lexi,
And I am Michelle.
and you're listening to Book to the Couch.
So grab a snack, get cozy, and join us on the couch.
So, we are going to have shorter episodes the next few episodes. We have a lot going on right now. So, we're just going to get into some, I guess, like tropes.
Kind of tropes. We're gonna do a little bit of deep diving on some beloved kind of like tropes. So one of the ones that we're gonna go over is we're gonna talk about love triangles. This is mostly going to be very heavily Twilight and Hunger Games central.
Related.
So
Yeah.
if you don't want to hear us talk about that, join us next episode.
Yeah, I
Because
guess you can skip this one if you don't really like Twilight and the Hunger Games because
to be fair, those two are the most
biggest
two
love
biggest
triangles.
iconic love triangles that I can think of when it comes to books.
Yeah. And it's easier to compare those than other books that a lot of people may not have read yet. So,
Mostly because I feel like love triangles is very much a YA trope, whereas you don't really see that too much in spicy adult romance because
unless it's a
then you can
wide
just
shoes.
because then it just goes to white shoes.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Although I did think about like turning this into like the love triangle to white shoes
we
pipeline.
could talk about that. I've not read
I wanted to
any,
do a white
but
shoes deep dive on its own. So I think when we do that deep dive, we'll do that pyramid
well,
scheme. How you
actually there is another iconic love triangle that is actually happening right now and is popular. The Summer I Turned Pretty. Because she's engaged to Jeremiah, but really loves Conrad. So,
I'm not gonna lie, it's been a bit since I've read that book.
yeah, I get that. The TV show's a rare occasion that this happens, but the TV show is actually better than the books. But, anyways, so do you think love triangles are iconic or exhausting?
I want to say iconic, iconic, 100%. They can be exhausting, definitely if they're definitely. There was a point in time I remember, like every book I was reading as a teen, it was a love triangle, and I was like, can we not like
The Vampire Diaries is another good love triangle.
Yes, there's also another YA one that I don't think you've read, and I've only talked about it a handful of times, and it's been years since I've read this, so my memory and my knowledge of this book is going to be very, very limited. Um, but give me a second while I try and figure this one out if you want to discuss it, because I know.
Okay. I think that love triangles are iconic as well because I we wouldn't really have the tension and the like drama in these series if it hadn't been for the love triangles that were happening. Like Twilight, Team Jacob, Team Edward would have been non-existent without the love triangle. Yeah, no, I think that they're iconic because we wouldn't have that drama, the angst,
The
the
tension.
tension, anything like that without them in these like iconic shows and books. So,
And they were definitely, I feel like when I started to really fall in love with reading was during the time that these books were coming out. So, like, one of the first big series that I read that was like a big kid, like teenage
yeah,
book was Twilight.
same.
So, like, that's really what started the whole love triangle dynamic for me. And I do love and hate it. Like, sometimes I feel like it is overdone. And there was definitely a point where, like, when you're reading several series over and over again and it's the same trope, it just kind of gets boring because you're
Yeah.
like, where's the creativity?
Like
Like,
there's nothing here.
where's the originality? Like, why am I reading the same thing over and over and over and over again?
Yeah, there's like there's nothing there. So, but I I think that my favorite one out of the two is Twilight, honestly. I think they did the love triangle better than Hunger Games, in my opinion. Like, they did it good in their own ways, yes, but Twilight was just so like it wasn't better like storyline wise, but the tension between the characters I feel was a lot better.
Yeah, because
Jacob
I
was
feel like in
like,
Hunger Games, it was just like it always kind of felt like a given that no matter what, Katniss was gonna end up with Peeta.
yeah.
Like
Twilight,
even
you
though
had
there
no
was
idea.
even though there was a love triangle there, like it was kind of it felt like it was definitely like heavily leaning on like this is
And
Peeta
like
and Katniss are endgame here, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Twilight does win in that department of like the
I
tension because you could.
yeah.
I remember reading it originally and like as a wee little like first introduction into romance, and so I was like, wow, like who is she going to pick?
Yeah.
Like,
I was like on the edge of my seat, especially with the movies too. Like they have so much chemistry, both parties have a lot
well,
of
I mean,
chemistry.
as a team, we thought they had a lot of chemistry.
Now, looking back, it's a
Looking
little
back as adults,
cringy.
looking back as adults, there's no chemistry. There's no chemistry between
No.
any of them. Honest to God, she had more chemistry with other members of the
Carlisle.
Cullen family than she did her own
Yeah, that
husband.
sexual tension in the kitchen scene.
The brotherly like sibling bond that she had with Emmett from the get go, like that just like really got amplified when she became a vampire. Like
hmm
I think that was my favorite relationship out of every other relationship in there was the Emma and Bella sibling relationship.
Yeah, same actually. But I liked
Am I a diehard Emmett fan? Yes.
I am Charlie Swan defender till I die. I don't care.
Although I will say, because I did try and go back and reread Twilight, but I put a stop to that because I'm having a difficult time getting my hands on the second book, and it's the only one that I am missing. But Charlie is kind of problematic. I mean,
Yeah, kinda,
all the
but
characters are kind of problematic. Like, if
yeah.
you really look deep at them, like if you
Yeah,
take a magnifying glass to them and you really look at them,
today's time, very problematic.
even then, time they were
Edward,
problematic.
like you're stalking a teenager. You're how old? And you're stalking a teenager. Like
You're in her bedroom, dude. Like
yeah,
that's
like
weird.
watching her sleep. Like what are you
We
doing?
say that
I
like
say
we
that
did.
like I'm literally reading a fucking vampire
Like
romance
we're like
right now.
obsessed with Lights Out. Like that man did not hack into her security system.
We're hypocrites, y'all. Okay, don't listen to us.
It's weird when he does it because he's 119.
Exactly.
He's old.
But also, I can't even say that because the vampire romance I'm reading right now, he's older than Edward. But she is an adult. So that's where it kind of like it's different a little bit because Bella was what 17 16 when they met
something?
16 and a half 17. That's a little fucking weird, dude.
I think she was almost 17 because, and I have to like, I'll have to
I
go and
know
like
on
deep
her
dive. I know
18th birthday,
I know there's like this whole like the whole timeline of all the books
like
and
takes
every
place in what 6 months,
a
like
year and a half or some shit like that. I'm like, what?
absolutely
A year and a half
wild.
to 2 years or something. I'm like,
You met, you got married, had sex, and then boom, baby. Really, the next day that you were after
like
that,
weeks
like,
later, here's my little rugrat.
here is resume.
Robitussin. I will never call that baby by its actual name. Okay,
Not
it will
ever.
always be something that is not its name. Robitussin.
Okay, so our next question is: was the love triangle necessary to the plot, or did it feel forced? I think that it was actually necessary for Twilight. However, in Hunger Games, I
I
don't
don't.
think it was necessary.
So like again,
It didn't feel
taking
forced, but
taking like my perspective, trying to remember what it was like reading it the first time. Reading it for the first time, no, it didn't feel forced. But kind of looking back at it now as an adult, it kind of did feel, especially
for which one?
Twilight.
Okay.
It did feel a little forced.
A
Whereas Hunger Games had that kind of like smooth transition where it kind of made sense why there was a love triangle because one was like this was her childhood best friend. She grew up with this one guy. Like she knew him her entire life. And yes, she knew Peeta too, but not like as closely as she knew Gale.
Yeah.
And then the Hunger Games happen and they are going through this traumatic event together. They have to survive together. They have to kill people together. So that connects her to him in a way that she will never be connected to Gale.
See, I feel the opposite because when I was younger, I felt like
And
it
I mean, when I was
wasn't.
younger, I didn't feel that way, but like as an adult, that's how I feel about that relationship
Yeah.
because I have, big brain now, and
Yeah.
my brain,
I
I can look at a situation and actually see the complexities in it.
yeah, and
Whereas as a
understand,
kid,
yeah. You
we
just
didn't have that understanding
action
where we
is
can,
what we were interested in kids. If it
like, we were
grabbed
like,
your
oh yeah, we're
attention,
gonna eat this up, like
yeah.
romance, action. Let me
See,
go.
my when I first read this, if I remember correctly, I had no idea that Hunger Games was like a romance. Like honestly, no idea.
Neither did I.
Because
My friend gave it to me under the impression that it was
just
a
like this dystopian world
like it was an
where
action adventure dystopian kick-ass woman, and I was like,
yeah, and I was like, hell
yes.
yeah, like yes, because I had just read The Giver in school, which was kind of like very similar dystopian type of
Oh,
vibe. And then I was like, oh, I'm really into this like genre right now. And then like I think Divergent came out around the same time Hunger Games did, maybe, or like a year after the first Hunger
I think it was
Games.
around the same time.
So I was like, oh, yes, I love Divergent too because I read that and I was like, wow, I really love this genre. And I never expected romance to be in any of them because like it's a dystopian world. You don't really, they're having to follow all these rules, and if they don't, then they get killed, whatever, and it's like you don't think about romance. So like for me, I could have gone without the love triangle in Hunger Games and it's still been like a great read and like a great like movie.
Here's where I think you might be a little wrong on that because I feel like without the romance, the series like
Oh
in
yeah,
they
now
had
for sure.
well yeah, like even as a young kid too, I recognized that like the romance had to have happened in some shape or form, even if it was kind of like faked for most of it on like I say faked with quotations because Katniss says she fakes it, but like
Yeah.
girl,
Yeah. I still
no.
lie, babe.
I could smell a lie from a mile away.
But yeah, I get that.
Like they had to have the romance in some capacity because they use the romance as a survival tactic,
Yeah,
not
that's
like an
true.
actual romance. And even with Gale, in a way, she used it as a survival content, like coping mechanism. Like
Yeah.
she, it was always romance in Hunger Games was different than the romance in Twilight because one used it like as a tool of survival, whereas they didn't necessarily have to do that in Twilight.
Yeah,
You had
she
the
didn't have to
tension.
survive on anything. She put herself in that
She kept putting
situation.
herself in situations.
And that really pissed me off. Like reading it for the first time, I was like, "Damn, what like what?" And then like reading it as an adult, I'm like, "This bitch pisses me
Even
off."
as a teen, I was like, "Girl,
Why
if
are
I walked into
you
a room and a dude just like seemed disgusted at my presence as soon as I walked
like
in, I would not talk to
making me
him. I would not
question if I
pine after
stink
him.
or not? Like what the
Honestly, I
fuck?
would spiral." But
Yeah, I'd go to the bathroom and then just not show my face for the rest of class.
yeah, no, I would end up like one of those axe boys, just drenched in perfume the next time I came in, like deodorant perfume. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I would wash my clothes like 5 times. Like it'd be a hot mess. Like I would be
It would have made
smelling
me
like whew.
self-conscious for the rest of my life if I smelled bad. Like seriously, like you think this really cute guy that you find attractive is like sitting beside you and then you walk by and he like has this disgusted look on his face? No.
I feel like too the worst part about reading that is I was also just like starting to turn into a teen. So you I was
Self-conscious.
already self-conscious. You're already kind of smelling weird because unfortunately that happens to you as a
Hormones,
fucking
yeah.
teen and you're just like, God, like I feel really kind of self-conscious. So reading that even as a teen, I was like, why would you okay, okay. We'll continue to read it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't
Wouldn't be
know.
me, but like I guess for you, hon. Like I don't know. You're older than me, so I'm gonna trust your judgment here.
Yeah, I feel
That's
like
honestly my thought of process at like 11, 12. Yes, I read Twilight at like 11, 12.
I was more around like 13, 14 when I first read it because like when I was 10 or 11 I was still reading stuff for AR. I don't know if you remember that or anything, but we had certain books where we had to read, and Twilight and all of the dystopians was not a part of like what you had to read to go to the pool party at the end of the year. It was like it was Harry Potter, obviously. That was a big one. I'm trying to remember. It was a Treehouse Kids series. Do you remember that? Am I saying it correctly?
The
Because
Magic Treehouse
yeah,
series, yeah.
possibly. Yeah. It was as a Magic Tree House, and then there was like another one where like it was counted for, and then like all the other like little tiny books was counted for, but like Twilight and all they weren't expecting like
Yeah, it was not in your
it was
age
not accounted
demographic
for.
for like that age group. Yeah, no, I get that because I remember them having something similar to that, but I also was just reading so much. So I was reading school stuff and then I was also reading fun stuff. Like I was already kind of reading, I was starting to kind of get into comics a little bit back in that time, but I was also really getting into romance. So around that time, I was also reading like Meg Cabot, and that was a weird introduction. I definitely
Yeah.
remember a couple of like oddball ones there. I think it was like First Daughter or something. Romance. It was good from when I was a teen, but I don't know if I'll go back and like try and find it. I thought about it
Yeah.
because we did discuss doing a nostalgic read, which would
Yeah.
be fun, especially because we wanted to do specific like decades,
Yeah.
trying to go back all the way to the 80s and getting like a bunch of YA like rom-coms.
Yes.
We've been researching it.
Yeah.
We've been
Yeah.
looking into it.
But another one I mentioned was Vampire Diaries. That was not forced at all because in my opinion, I feel like Katerina was just the spitting image of Elena, and Stefan and Damon could not help at the fact that they felt those feelings for Elena because of Catherine. So, like, I think that is probably my favorite love triangle, I think.
That I remember reading that because I remember I didn't read or watch that until way later.
I haven't read the
I was
books.
like 17 and I tried to read books. I wasn't really That was around the time that I was kind of like in a massive reading slump and I wasn't doing a whole lot of reading because I had so much reading to do for school that
Yeah.
it just wasn't possible for me to really read for fun. So I was trying to watch the show and I remember thinking, why can't she just have both of them?
Yeah, like
Like they both
they
care about her in their own way.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they can eventually move past that. Like,
Yeah.
come on, why? Just
Yeah.
let them have both. But I understood that it was a TV show and that it's not something you can show on a TV show because
Especially on the CW.
people are sensitive.
Another iconic one, I don't know that you've watched this, is from One Tree Hill. Lucas, Brooke, and Peyton. That is the messiest love triangle I think I have ever watched on a TV show. And if you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend. That's my favorite show in the entire world. But it's so messy. They're best friends, and then he comes up. Brooke likes Lucas first. She doesn't act on it because um Nathan is the douchebag of the school. And so all of
We
that
love a bad
happens.
boy.
Yes, a redeemable bad boy because he turns out to be the best fucking character on the show.
I love
But
a reformed bad boy. God.
yes, it's so good. And then Peyton goes behind Brooke's back and ends up hooking up with Lucas, and then all this stuff happens, and it's the messiest one I have ever witnessed in a TV show ever. Like it's so bad. Like, so if you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend watching it because it's the earlier seasons especially chef kisses. It's so good. It'll tear your fucking heartstrings out though, but it's worth it. It's good.
But overall, I feel like for most stories, especially like they're like for some shape or form, when it comes down to it, a love triangle is definitely necessary for the writing. There
Yeah,
hasn't been a whole lot of them that I've been like, why is this love triangle here? Not necessarily in the context of like, oh, like why a love triangle to begin with. Like she doesn't have chemistry with either of these characters. It's more of a she has so much chemistry with both of these characters, but also both of these characters have enough chemistry with each other. Like, why the hell are they just not
together. Like honestly,
in a
I
circle? Why don't they turn that triangle into a circle? Nice and smooth.
but I agree. I think that sometimes well, sometimes it's really not needed if the plot is like super well written and like it's just not all about romance, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because
Like
I
it's
feel like
not needed
especially
cuz then it
during the
feels
time of like all of these books coming out, Twilight, Hunger Games, during those couple of years, there was so many different love triangles happening that it just felt like, okay,
it was being thrown at
are we
us.
just like throwing this love triangle in to throw in a love triangle? Like, is it necessary? Like,
But a lot of the times it is necessary for the plot. So it really
yeah,
depends on like the book, I guess, and like the characters and like their dynamics with each
and the
other.
overarching story and how it works into the story. Like I said, Hunger Games, especially looking back on it, that love triangle was 100% needed because it showed two different, very possible futures for Katniss, but also it showed two very different sides of Katniss
Yeah.
and what she actually needed as a person.
Yeah. But okay, I think that that concludes this episode of our
Book to
pod.
catch.
So, we will see you guys next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, beautiful people. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more from us, give a like and follow at our socials. And if you want to listen to more, find us on Spotify and YouTube.